call the meeting to order at 6:02 or 3. Choose one. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 25th, 2017. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from April 25th, 2017 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on May 2nd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the special meeting on May 2nd, 2017 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Or, motion passes. Additions and deletions,
The agenda is a little changed from the one I emailed to you, so if you studied that one or got it online or something, it is. I took the warrants off, obviously the warrants changed, and there was some new correspondence, and
so
tightened it up a little bit, so it wasn't on 2 pages.
is there anything to add or subtract from the agenda? All right. The warrants for May 9th for today, actually May 9th, today's,
May
it is the 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I missed a day.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 1, with payroll, in the amount of $9,242.04.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $9,242.04 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Did you vote?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 2 out of the taxes, the amount of $3,587.09.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying payroll tax warrant number 2 in the amount of $3,587.09 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 3 out of the general fund in the amount of $295.32.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This is the mileage reimbursement,
This is
correct?
is in fact a mileage reimbursement, yes. It's come to our attention, but we received a check back from, I'm not sure who that check was
I
from.
think it was VLCT. It was VLCT, I remember.
VLCT,
I don't remember.
which was
Or remember.
the fee that we paid for one of the listers to attend the conference that is on this list of requested mileage reimbursement. And I think we should probably get some more information before we
Yeah, I think we
sign this, just to find out why we're asking for reimbursement when in fact we didn't
It was
attend the
canceled.
conference. So I would like to have some additional information on that if possible.
Can we have other information other than we went to Route 35? Can we be more specific?
We can certainly do that. That's not necessarily for this particular one, but we could change the policy going forward so that we knew specifically what we were looking at rather than Route 35 or West Hill or East Hill or State Forest, Townsend Acres.
Well, not only that, how do we know? No, everything's starting with 0, the speedometer can't be 0.
No, I agree. I believe the policy used to be starting mileage and stopping mileage, including
I
tenths.
thought that was the way it was.
And that seems to have gone by the wayside. I have yet to see one in my 3 years here, so, I mean, we could certainly have that discussion as well. Okay? So, then, all those in favor of approving general fund warrant number 3 in the amount of $295.32 signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? The motion fails. So we will need to get some additional information on the reimbursement, mileage reimbursement. All right,
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 4 out of the general fund in the amount of $6,637.23.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 4 in the amount of $6,637.23, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 5 out of the general fund in the amount of $802.08.
Is there a second?
Aye. A second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 5 in the amount of $802.08, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 6 out of the highway department, or highway fund, amount of $172.69.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying highway warrant number 6 in the amount of $172.69, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 7 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $5,054.78.
Was there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying equipment fund warrant number 7 in the amount of $5,054.78, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 8 out of the general fund in the amount of $2,026.23.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 8 in the amount of $2,026.23, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to pay check warrant number 9 out of the general fund in the amount of $7,240.17.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying general fund warrant number 9 in the amount of $7,240.17, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right, so that takes care of the bills. Highway. Why don't we go ahead and do anything you have to speak to us about? And then I'd like to have an executive session to discuss an issue that's come forward with our grants. So if you could just, run through whatever you had to say to us, and then we'll kick everybody else out.
Well, on my list I have, I met with Bob DeServo on the trees, made a list on that, called Green Mountain Power and Fairpoint, because some of the things I think the power company and telephone company. So I got a ticket number from Fairpoint, they're gonna meet with me, and Green Mountain's gonna call me back with their tree guys. But I don't have Terry Redfield anymore to, he would come right away. And after that, we've been cutting down trees, we're trying to do one or two trees a day, small stuff right now, then on the list is Bob. And see as far as we can go before we gotta hire somebody. RFP for paving, we gotta do that sometime, Craig?
Yeah, we do, I need to know dimensions, thicknesses, all that, but I've got
I just wanna do
the
it
blank RFP, yeah.
inch and a quarter, inch and overlay. Roadside mowing, have you,
I've heard from 2 people, we've only gotten one estimate or quote back so far. So, still waiting on another one.
well, bridge number 42, we'll talk about that, I guess, in executive. Have anything happened, materialize with Mrs. Angel? Have you guys determined anything?
No.
Okay, I'm just going by what was been on my list.
Well, I think we need to definitely make contact with her
Yeah.
and make sure that we at least go out and take a look at it to find out what can and cannot be done.
But that needs to be written up as well. I mean, that was
Right.
one of the caveats of,
Why don't we just wait for her to contact us again?
yeah, it's been a month. Well, it's been a year.
Well, but I also think that we want to
Well, I mean, just might be easier to,
do this but we said we would do it. And I think we
Right,
need
I
to
think
follow
we-
through on that. Huh?
We need to contact her, have a look at it, and then give her a proposal that she can accept, and then we can do the.
I
Well-
already gave her a proposal the first time.
Which is the proposal you gave her, Rob?
Anyway, we're going to need written permission from her to go onto her property regardless of what happens. So when you do get a chance to meet with her and you define
So are
what
we
it,
doing something?
I don't know.
They haven't negotiated
Well, then why
anything
would
yet.
we need to, why would we go through it if we don't have anything in place? Why wouldn't we just?
The way it was left,
Until we're at the point where we're gonna do something, then ask questions.
the way it was left at the meeting that she attended was that Irv and Kirk were gonna go assess the situation and figure out what was gonna happen, and if it was agreeable with her, she was gonna sign a piece of paper that said, this is what's gonna happen, and there's not gonna be any, it's not gonna go on and on and on. It's gonna be a done deal, it's gonna take a couple hours, we'll get it, whatever. But until Irv and Kirk meet with her, and until they get something that she can sign, or she comes up with something they can sign, or whatever. So we have a piece of paper that describes, it's gonna be an open-ended, you'll get out there, spend an afternoon, and you'll go out the next week.
Well, I just
6
think
weeks.
we're pissing in the wind when it comes to it. We keep meeting, and we're gonna meet again, and we're gonna meet again, and we're gonna meet for trees.
I don't disagree, I'm just saying,
It's like
the
either
last,
do it or don't do
it.
the last meeting.
Let's
was
either do it or
September.
don't do it.
Irv said he'd meet
Can't
with
do
her.
that. Now I gotta get back to it.
I'm gonna need to put front tires on the grader. I called up to get prices for that. Oh, and I was wrong. On sweeping the streets.
Okay,
I wrote, on a class I went to for a road foreman thing, to complete streets, that was a suggestion. I wrote that down in the thing. Because they want people to be pedestrians, motorcycles, or bicycles and stuff. And one of the things were to sweep the streets. That was a suggested thing to sweep the streets.
I did notice today coming back through Brattleboro sometime, I'm not sure what time I was coming through, they had, do they have their own sweeper in Brat, or do they hire?
Yeah.
They have their own.
Okay, so Johnson must be the name of the machine?
Oh,
Johnson?
it could be a woman, I don't know what they have.
I was
It
just,
burnt up a couple of years ago, they bought a new one, so I don't know.
okay,
Used to have an Elgin.
okay.
And that's all I have.
What about the backup transfer attendants?
Oh, my suggestion?
Well, no,
I did meet with them.
did you meet with them?
Yes.
Okay. And are they all capable of running the
I
equipment?
believe so. It's very simple. Yeah.
Okay.
We went over and I had them try it and, do dummy runs with the
Did
trucks like that.
everybody,
So,
1, 2, 3, 4, did 4 people show up?
yes.
Okay.
So then, what we'll do is we'll get you a list, a prioritized list that you can go down if the situation comes up as it did the last time where you don't have a lot of notice
Sure.
ahead of time. Otherwise, if you've got a heads up that this is coming, you might want to be able to call specifically.
Right.
But at least this way you'll have 4 names that you can go down the list and hopefully find somebody who can
Right.
come in, and particularly on Saturdays, and cover the station. Okay. What about Plum Road? Where are we on the stabilization for that?
I have,
Can we just let the bank slide all the way down and just be done?
well, it'll eventually set its own grade. That's what it usually does. 2 to 1 grade is what it stops. We could. But the whole thing was the water was to prevent erosion from going in the water.
Okay.
And,
You mean that culvert's the bottom of the hill that's gonna
no,
come right?
the culvert that's right next to it, right above it,
Next,
it goes
okay.
like this. And the water goes this way and this way and
Okay.
Keep some of the
Which
clay
way's
salt
it
out of the water.
this way and this way and across the road.
Then it goes back up. Pretty
Then it
cool
goes down the
water.
road.
Okay, so that's all you had for us then?
Yes.
All right, then I would entertain a motion to move into an executive session with Kurt Bostrom under 1 VSA Section 313A4.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving into executive session to discuss with the employee the network inventory issue that we have, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. This shouldn't be more than okay, so we'll move then back up to the compliance certificate for Bridge 42. We did receive the grant to replace that bridge. At this point in time, they're asking for additional information on the network inventory. And supposedly our network inventory is up to date, even though we don't have an official one done and are waiting, in fact, on Windham Regional to go out with us and take a look at and update it again. But it evidently is currently up to date. So the question becomes, do we want to go ahead and sign the certification for compliance for Townsend's road and bridge standards and the network inventory? Based on the fact that we don't have a newly completed one, but we have been working forward from the
updating
last
the
one.
last
Yes. I need a motion on the table, that's what I need.
In other words, if we don't have anything, we don't get a grant.
No, we get the grant, but it's gonna cost us.
Another 10%.
Another 10% for the cost of the bridge, yeah. And I believe the bridge was at 178, was it,
The
that was the
grant, yeah, if it goes full blown, it's 178. Our matching grant at 10, obviously, would be 17,008. If we did the 20%, it's 35,600.
Right. And there is money in there, in the reserve to handle that bridge. On special projects, we've been carrying that forward, but, there again, why spend money you don't?
It's just when you submitted that applicant, or submitted that compliance certificate, you did the honest thing of saying we don't have the current, because the network inventory is out of date.
Right.
And then there was explanation that followed that when I submitted it, and let Megan know at District 2 in Dummerston, that she had helped us get the grant to do that network inventory, and we did have a contract with Windham Regional, and they're supposed to be starting any day now, kind of thing. Well, she said, you gotta check that box. That's what they look at up in Montpelier. So,
That just goes to show you, when you're honest, look what happens.
Right, so-
Don't be honest anymore.
So there is no way to tell Montpelier that we're in process?
well, and she said,
Or they don't care?
She said your foreman should be keeping the network inventory current, and I said, well, that's come up in the past, and there's been questions about between the V-Trans maps and the Windham Regional maps that are on the wall and what he's got for an inventory, at least for the culverts. Now, I know there's infrastructure inventory that has to be done in some situations with more professional people, engineers, to take a look at certain trickier situations. So, she understands that, but at the same time, I brought it back to the board because the one we sent in 2 weeks ago is gonna cost us extra money, and we can't explain our way around checking the do not have it box. So I just wanted you to be assured that we do.
Yeah, but that, another thing makes a difference how late in the summer or something, but they, do that. If you knew they was gonna do it here in June, like, you wouldn't be too bad off, but if it ain't until August or September.
Well, you haven't put it out to bid yet.
No, but I'm not talking about the bridge. I'm
Oh,
talking-
okay, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about this inventory network stuff so that satisfy the state.
Well, I know that the state provided a considerable amount, considerable amount of seed money to, we're gonna call it that, grant money available to the regional commissions, planning commissions, so that smaller towns could have assistance with keeping their network and infrastructure inventories up to date. And Windham Regional jumped on that. They made offers all last year to everybody. They actually came in and helped us fill out that grant and helped Clerk fill out that grant. So I believe that's back when Matt Mann was on. But in any case, and it's in their interest to do it. And on some of them, they make considerable amount of money. They did Weston. He said, geez, it only took us a day. The roads are in perfect shape, but they had to, so they only took a day or day and a half to do that one. Other towns that they've done have been a lot more complicated. Stratton, I believe, was a lot of hills and a lot of back roads and just, they ate up a lot of time up there doing studies. But, Townshend should be average. All the grants were for the same amount of money, just under 9,000, I believe. 8,400, 8,500, something like that. and we have a match to it. But anyway, Kurt said he needed the help with it, so you guys signed off, we got the grant last year, and then they've had some change in personnel at Windham Regional, and they weren't able to get to it last fall. So it got put off till the spring, and as I said, to Kurt a few minutes ago, I did just see an email on that road, something, meeting that's coming up at the end of the month, but on the bottom of that is Windham Regional's plans to assist, 5 or 6 towns, starting in June, and Townshend is one of them. So, I know they've got the work cut out for them in the county.
Oh, speaking of which, just before this slips my mind, since I'm not functioning completely correctly tonight, is there any way to get both of my email addresses off of Windham Regional's list so that I don't get multiple, many copies?
I thought one of them was misspelled enough so it would come through.
No, quite
Okay.
frankly, I'm getting one on every account I have,
That's fine,
and I'd rather not.
I'll write the powers that be, but
Thank you.
it's spread throughout the system there. And
Well, I
I
understand.
never put you in, so you got friends in higher places.
No, I think my first year, it went into the state.
We have to report it. She has to report it to Windham Regional and to the state.
Well, it went in as 2 different email addresses, and so now I'm getting multiples, and
Plus, it
Plus.
comes to select board too.
I understand it comes
Yes,
to
I know.
some, but it's 3, if not 4, because then you forward it on, so I don't need 4 copies. Anyway, just to let you know what we would be certifying, this says, we further certify that we do or do not have an up-to-date highway network inventory which identifies location, size, deficiencies, condition of roads, bridges, causeways, culverts, and highway-related retaining walls on Class 1, 2, and 3 town highways and estimated cost of repair. That's what we're certifying.
Well, and that's pretty much the big infrastructure inventory.
That's not just culverts.
No, it's
Right.
not culverts. This is the whole shebang. It's
Which is
part
what
of,
we're in the
part of what I
process of
just
doing.
gave,
Right.
So
part of
now
what
what
I,
do we do?
part of the copy I just gave Will from 2006. It's that big
Yeah.
a thing if you're doing it on paper, not a computer. But it is a label. You get out, you look at every
Yeah,
issue.
everything. Yeah, and it's not just culverts, it's bridges.
And
it's-
now they want GPS coordinates, they want a photograph of the cracks in the road, the frost heave, that kind, where you've got a big enough bubble that you gotta dig up the pavement, take out the sub-road, subsurface, whatever it is, put in new bedding, and then pave over. Those kinds of major, even if they're minor spot issues.
How often is a full network inventory generally done?
I can't remember, do you know, Irv, are they 5 years now on the full? I know they changed it, I think it was every 3, and now I think it's every 5 on the full inventory. But you're supposed to keep
I
it current,
think
and again, if you go out and do work, it's easy enough to write it down in a book.
Right,
As you
I-
said, you mark it.
Have a sheet or some darn thing and put, and all you gotta do is look at your map if you know where the thing is, and if the culverts are all numbered.
I mean, I know we buy
You
$6,000,
know,
$7,000 worth of culverts, and we put in a lot of culvert, it seems, every year.
But either replaced or reset or whatever they do.
And whether you put a head wall in or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But
But it's
do we
no-
also have estimates for repairs?
It's
of
no different, no
frost
different than
heaves,
that
and
grant on
bridges that
Plum
need-
Hill, for example.
Mhm.
Well, when I said that call, it didn't take long, I guess, to get it, he got a hold of somebody then finally and got pole moved.
Well, again, coming to
You know,
closer,
so
Right.
it,
So I guess
it's
the
just a
question
matter
is,
of keeping up with the stuff.
well, and then the first thing I'll need, if we're gonna fill this out and fill it out correctly, is to know when we actually did adopt the standards.
The road standards are 2014, that's okay.
We don't do them every year.
No.
Then I'll
Well, you
need,
certify every year that you're holding them
I
current.
understand that.
Right,
So
but
when-
AOT hasn't changed the rules, so that we have to change.
when did we last certify the standards? Because
They
that's
were,
what
they
they
were
want.
adopted in 2011 or 12, they were re-adopted in 2014. They're still current, as far as I know.
Again,
We-
when did this board do that?
You did it last year when you certified that you were holding.
What date? That's what they want.
What date did you?
They want to know
Yeah.
When the municipality of Townsend certified that they have reviewed, understood, and complied with the town road and bridge standards, public works specifications and standards passed and adopted by the select board of the village, of the select board on blank blank 20 whatever.
Yeah.
They want to know when we pass them.
Yes, and that's.
And adopt it.
Right, if you look at the one sheet that you did sign, that number should be on there. It is
That number's the same day we signed it, which means it was filled out incorrectly to begin with.
It should be.
Because we didn't adopt them that night.
February 3rd, 2014 is what it should be for that. On the town road and bridge standards and the network inventory. It was, okay, that's wrong. Yeah, it's February 3rd, 2014 is when the road standards were adopted by the select board. I have a copy of the road
Well, I'm not
standards.
gonna write it until such time as we decide what we're gonna do.
Right,
And I
but I
don't
mean,
have a
that's, no,
motion.
but that's,
That's the first part of the information I need.
yeah, that's this document here. And it's before your time. Now, okay, the copy that I've got has an actual date in it. February 3rd, 2014. And those are the, yeah, and this is
That
guardrails,
is-
access management training, we'll keep a record and.
Right, so that's not something that's done every year evidently.
No,
Okay.
but it should be reviewed regularly and updated as necessary. But it's pretty generic. It just basically, you'll deal with any situations that you have to do. If you can't afford it, you'll seek money elsewhere.
So I need a motion to do something.
I'll say I'm disinclined to check the box that says we have it.
Do you need more information, or you wanna just postpone this, or are you making a motion to sign? Which case you've already submitted the one that says we don't.
In which case then we're basically just turning down the grant.
Well, no.
Or
you're turning down
accepting it
10%.
at 20%.
Oh, yeah, we're turning, okay,
Yeah.
that's right. We're,
If we get in the grant, then we actually accomplish the objective before it expires.
that too. So 10% or 20%?
I would move we accept the grant at 20% without a certified network inventory.
So then the question becomes, since we had the dates wrong on that, the first one we sent in, do we leave it exactly where it's, the way it was with the correct dates and do not meet, like we did the first time, and put in process and then know we're going to be hit with 20%? Or do we do, how do we do that? Just do not meet?
I don't know, and this is why I threw it to you guys, because I read that and I say, I know he's supposedly keeping track of the culverts they're replacing by putting a little mark on a map. And I don't know that that's full and complete, as Irv was saying, that you need to fill it out in more detail. But that attestation is asking you to sign off on a little bit more than just keeping your culvert replacement inventory
Right.
more or less current. And, that it is in progress, that it is gonna be done, probably within the next, hopefully, 60 to 90 days. It's up to you. I don't have advice for it, other than, I obviously caution the board from signing something they don't believe in. But at the same time, it's up to you to have the assurance of what you're signing. It is a legal document.
What's the timeframe that we have to have this returned?
The grant.
They really can't approve the grant. They've approved the grant at V-Trans District 2. It still has to go through the Cassie Bells at the state level.
Should we get a hold of
Well, it does.
Windham Regional and find out when they're gonna be able to do
I
it?
don't think they know. They haven't, obviously Kirk doesn't have a date. So they haven't contacted him. I don't think they've set it up yet. As I said, there's an email, I could bring it up, a couple of days ago, that indicates they're gonna be doing 5 or 6 towns in Windham County.
Yeah.
Townsend is one of them. They're
Right.
beginning in June, but I don't
But
know.
we don't know what the order is, or?
No.
But,
I can certainly call them and try to pin
yeah,
them
I was
down.
gonna say, 'cause
But I don't know if we're gonna be using up another 2 weeks or 3 weeks of vacation in June before the end of the fiscal year for some of our highway crew. There's I don't know what the schedules are. I don't know who's available
But the thing is-
here, what their plans are.
Who knows how often they've been contacted?
Oh, I don't know, because I don't have a watch.
Well, I don't either.
I can tell you when I make phone calls.
The project, the bridge project has to be done, I believe, by October.
Yeah, I realize that.
And they're not doing yeah, I believe it says
Yeah.
that it needs to be,
Yeah.
that was the estimated date. But I don't believe there's water work, which is the
No.
big thing with regard to whether it's, if you're in the stream, then yes, you have to be out of it by October.
It'd have to be October 15th.
Is it the 15th?
No.
I thought it was earlier than that,
It was
because I thought when
It's
Larry
October
did
1st
Ellen
on the
Ware, we
grant.
were right up against the deadline on that.
October
But as
15th.
part of the grant.
It used to be
was there
November.
no-
1st of November,
Waterworks.
now it's down to the 15th
On
of
project.
October, I believe.
Yeah.
So anyway, what would you like to do? More information? Do you want to see if we can get a hold of Windham Regional to find out when we're scheduled? Do you want to have Craig get in touch with
Yeah.
District 2 to find out how long, how much leeway we have for getting this paperwork sent in? with
Yeah,
something
I
we're
would move that
comfortable
we
with?
start with that and then get in touch with Windham Regional, see if there's any way that we can ask them to,
I mean, we're already late on this. This is, as
Right.
we're saying.
and that speaks to a bigger problem, but.
Right, I mean, this is usually sent in March, we haven't done it, we always send them in April, end of April, because it always get delayed for one reason or another. But this is getting late on that, and,
Or do we just check the box and eat the 10%?
I mean, I can try to pin down Wyndham Regional, but that's a coordination they have to make with the highway crew. And again, I don't know what their schedule up there is, they may be starting Plum Road, or they may have vacation time or other things. It's just, you know, it's a time of year right now, they're gonna use up the time they've got before the fiscal year change. Like I say, I don't have a projection of schedules or plans or work projects or things like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't take the whole crew, it only needs one person.
You have to drive around and identify the culverts. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that they would all
Correct.
go.
Kurt, whoever, he's supposed to be the foreman, he should be the one. Tend to it.
Well, but again, that's still not solving the issue we have in front of us. And that's what we tell the state. We've got a $178,000 grant that is we're going to pay a percentage of. And what are we comfortable with?
We got that in on deadline.
We made that one in by the skin of our teeth, as you recall. I mean, we can go whichever way you wanna go.
I would move that we ask Craig to get in contact with District 2 to see, and Windham Regional, to see if we can coordinate getting them in to get it done before we have to submit this, and then we can move forward after that.
And if we get
And
it,
if that's not possible, we can find out, I think, relatively quickly, whether it's even a possibility. And if it's not, then I would say we if we have to have an emergency meeting, we pick it back up and do it without the certification.
What do they usually give you window-wise on those grants?
I missed you, I'm sorry.
On the grants, I mean, we've gotten the preliminary approval
Right.
for the bridge.
Right.
And now it's at the state level. Now, what kind of a window, when they
Well,
start awarding
there's
money?
only so much money in the bank.
Yeah.
And people are picking away at it pretty quick, and the more they award, the less likely you are to actually get it. They may approve it down here based on Townsend needs to do this, it is a priority project, but there may be higher priorities. That bridge will survive another 3 years by itself. I mean,
So in other words, we also run the risk of not getting the
The
full
grant.
funding.
Okay.
So there are multiple things with
Yeah, that
pushing it out
wasn't-
2
I
weeks to
didn't-
get another answer as well.
Right.
What's your pleasure?
but I do know, it's like anything else, in order to get the money, there are gonna be strings attached, and the strings attached
Yeah.
are you sign 2 other pieces of paper, which, attest to your financial solvency, which you did, and that you are complying with AOT road standards generally, using the money that the state gives us for Highway 8 in order to keep the roads up to par. And that's something that, the buck stops at your table.
Yep.
it's not gonna only affect that, it's gonna affect your state money if you don't keep up with it. The health highway mileage.
Yeah, and for a couple of years, you've been kind of skirting by the sidelines, but I said, sooner or later, this is gonna catch up with you if you don't assure yourself that you're in compliance. And this will be the third year that our network inventory, we're going into the third year, the network inventory is technically expired. We saw it coming and it just didn't happen. Now we have a grant to get it done, but when that's gonna happen, I don't know. I'm not in that loop, and I will, you don't need to make a motion, but I will, I'll certainly follow up on it. But that takes coordination between Windham Regional and the Highway Department in order to make that happen. And,
So do we want to just postpone any decision until Craig comes back with some kind of information and then pick it up at a special meeting, or wait for the next regular meeting? Or send it in?
We'll have to find out, you know, if the regular meeting's too late, then we'll have to call a special meeting to sign it or whatever.
well, I also think you're probably gonna have another meeting before the next meeting anyway on recycling and other issues.
That's probably the case.
Huh?
That's probably the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, not to,
I figure we have some legal issues that we have to discuss as well. So,
I would say we should have Craig look
Get
into
some
the
get
time,
some
get
information.
some information, look at the timing, and then.
but is it gonna make a difference if it's, they're gonna have it done by June 30th, or they're gonna have it done by July 20th? I mean, is
Right,
it,
you
is
still
that?
know.
Right, that's my question is,
But find out the
Where does that fall?
timelines and stuff.
well, but you still are gonna have to tick a box, 1 to 2 boxes.
It's
Yes
not
or
gonna
no?
be done by the time
You're,
we start.
exactly, it's not gonna be done, no matter what happens, it's
And
not
we've
gonna be
already
done.
said it's going to
Okay.
be done, it's going to be done, in progress, it's gonna be done soon.
But they didn't like that answer.
Right.
right,
So it's either a do or don't.
Yes,
The
it's yes or
in-between
no.
isn't, the in-between
No
isn't
maybes.
the answer they want.
alright, and then, that being the case, I would think we eat the 10% and,
Well, it's easy for you to say, I'm a taxpayer.
so am I. I'm not excited about this by any means.
Well, then if we're to the point where we've decided, then we need a motion to make it official.
I move that we submit the response with the box check that we do not have a current network inventory.
Is there a second to that?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll say.
Oh, okay. So it says, the motion's been made and seconded, that we submit it as if we are not being in compliance with the standards currently. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of signing the certificate of compliance for town road and bridge standards and network inventory by certifying that we do not currently have a network inventory, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. So,
Still put a note in it that we're in the process of it.
yeah, well,
But when the originals is holding us up for one thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's what I
They've had change
did.
in person.
Yeah.
see,
know, I
I
know.
said, do not, currently in process, that's the one we signed the last
And
time.
before, and as I said, before I sent that in, I made sure that they remembered, we have a grant to the tune of $9,000 to have this done, and we have a contract with Windham Regional. February 3rd, 2014 is the date up on the top line on that road standards.
We aren't changing our mind, right? Do not.
Correct.
Okay. No explanation, just do not.
And if you wanna put in process and see if that
Oh,
trips
shit.
anybody, it can't hurt.
That's my last clean copy. You want some white
I
out?
do need whiteout, yes.
Put the wrong date in?
No,
Okay.
You checked the wrong box.
I checked the box. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Where's the board?
Huh? Okay, how do you make the whiteout work? So, somebody tell me how whiteout works?
I don't know, I just grabbed it. Okay.
Clove is at the other end, is it like an eraser thing on the other end?
I didn't think so, it wasn't me.
I think it is. It's fine.
Alright,
Just kind of. That looks official.
well, I can't help it. We had
I
this,
should have made more copies.
we had this,
When I found a claim one, I should have made more. Anyway,
we had this discussion, you know, about signing the do not, and I did, I signed the do not, but I signed the wrong do not. We've adopted the standards, but we do not have a current inventory.
right, and the standards were adopted February 3rd, 2014.
That's what I put down.
Okay, I'm just, yeah.
Now, today is May 9th, thank you, Joe.
2017.
You guys with your numbers, you really ought to leave me alone, or you're gonna have a mess. John Henry's or do you want the white?
Sign disappeared.
Lemon juice? All right. As that's making its rounds, I'll make note of the fact that we haven't received one quote for roadside mowing, and there's been another inquiry.
There should have been another one here tonight, Dan. I'm sorry to say there isn't here one tonight. It wasn't on the deadline, it was just convenient because tonight was the meeting. But we do have one price coming in, and it's,
So I'd like to, at this point in time, wait to see if that second one comes in.
we'll get that second one.
And at the next meeting, we'll take a look at
address
there
it.
too, we'll address that.
But both the companies that I talked to, including this one, is available for, August, late August for mowing.
Okay.
And,
They brought you in some liquid stuff.
I know, I saw.
the big stuff, the paintbrush stuff.
Oh, it looks good.
I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Put it on the clipboard? Maybe.
No, because then the stupid ink will smear, and we'll be back to do not.
Okay.
Okay, we'll just leave it right there so it dries. Anyway, members of the public, there's nobody here at this point in time.
About
Whoops,
5
whoops.
minutes.
Yeah, anyway, let's go back up. You all received counter money from the town
Yeah.
clerk. See, I almost did it again, Joe.
Alright,
And the treasurer?
so between the two accounts, you have $802,025.75.
Right, are there any questions?
$25.72. Went up.
Yeah.
That's good.
Last time.
That's not a little bit tonight.
Then moving on to correspondence. All right, we received, the select board received a correspondence from Phil Moriarty, who is in fact a member of the committee that is doing the town manager search committee. And it says, or governance search committee, let's do this correctly.
Yes.
It says, Dear Ms. Hagee, this letter does not reflect any opinions other than my own. I certainly do not speak for the committee here. After reviewing the videotape of 25 April 2017 Select Board meeting, I believe we are operating with less efficiency than desirable in pursuing the mandate from town meeting. It is clear that you believe the Select Board has charged the Governance Committee, Study Committee sufficiently. Notes and minutes from the committee demonstrate that committee members do not understand that charge, no matter how much we might wish otherwise. The video of 3/15/17 Select Board meeting makes it clear that the extensive discussion, well in excess of 20 minutes, left everyone with slightly different interpretations of what was to be undertaken. It is worth pointing out that the committee is a creature of the Select Board, not town meeting. For that reason, the article passed at town meeting, while informative, is not a legal guide unless the board adopts it as the committee charge. The committee can only do what the Select Board desires and can only operate within the limits the Select Board sets. I find no record of a motion charging the committee. The committee immediately realized it needed more focus than could be gleaned from the 3/15/17 meeting and guessed that the following is what the select board wanted, and this is in quotes, to explore options for the administration of town government and present the select board with a report clearly outlining the possibilities, in quotes. This casts a wider net than the vote at town meeting required, but it certainly was within the spirit of the motion and clearly includes the substance of that motion. If the select board members felt a different charge to be more appropriate, the best solution would be to draft one and pass it at a select board meeting as the law requires. If the charge the committee created is sufficient, the select board should adopt it. The fact is, the board has not charged the committee. This is a prime example of why, in quotes, I thought you understood is no substitute for writing things down as the open meeting law requires of any official board action. I strongly suspect that the members of the select board will find themselves in exactly the same quandary committee members were in at our first meeting when trying to define the goals. I urge the board to adopt the charge the committee set for itself and then let the committee do its job. Sincerely, Phil Moriarty. All right, now, just to clear the air, at our special meeting that was called, there was an article on the agenda that, or an item on the agenda that addressed specifically this issue. The board met and made via motion the following charge to the committee. The Governance Advisory Committee of the Select Board is hereby charged with identifying the major deficiencies within the current Town of Townsend governance structure, researching possible solutions to those issues such as instituting a town manager or town administrator, and documenting any legal barriers that might impact the Select Board's presentation of options to the voters of Townsend. The committee shall present its findings to the Select Board, at which time the board may further charge the committee with developing a job description for a specific position. And that was approved at the meeting on May 2nd, 2017. So, is there any further discussion on that particular issue?
No, I think it's clear.
And so the meeting now
Yep.
has it as a,
There's only one
Yes.
thing that I can think of, and I don't know what it would or wouldn't, but if he went with a town manager, is the charter
No,
have
there's
to be
no-
changed?
yeah, but again, that's what
That's a
we've
legal,
tried.
that's a legal question that the study committee is actually looking
Yes.
into, and we've had some back and forth on that.
And when it comes down to vetting the legalities of it, once the committee comes back with their information, it will be the select board's responsibility to contact the town attorney and find out what may or may not be involved with going with one particular way or another.
Yep.
All right, Windham Superior Court. I had a surprise when I walked in, about an hour and a half ago. And we now have received notice of a reschedule on the court case of Kernan versus Townsend. The hearing is going to be June 20th at 11 a.m. in Superior Court in Newfane. That was the wage dispute with the lister.
Put it in a year after books are closed.
But so we will be making that correct. Anybody who wants to come listen is more than welcome to come play with us. Okay, so that's, well, imagine that. On to tax sale property procedure ratification, and in walks the delinquent tax collector. So, on that note,
Have that time-
Well done.
time just about right.
on that note, I have to ask you, with whatever information you're bringing to the board, is this an open session type discussion, or what is this discussion?
Considering legal counsel is involved,
Well, okay, legal counsel involved, do we have definitive information from legal counsel in written form?
not
Do you
written.
have-
I don't know.
So you're expressing legal counsel?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll think about it for a minute.
Yeah, I
Ratify
do
this
it.
one, ratify this one that's on the agenda, which is to proceed with,
Oh, yeah, that was just
right, that's a
ratification.
procedural, you did it out of session on the phone.
Yeah, I wasn't on the phone. You guys have a meeting without me? Ooh, I'm excited.
Actually, no, you emailed.
Anyway, we did decide to ratify the notice that was to be sent
Right.
on the Lisa Johnson eviction. And at this point in time, I would entertain a motion to ratify
It is for the attorneys to proceed.
the procedure to move forward with that notice.
So
So,
moved.
second,
Okay. we'll
Any
give it
further
to her.
discussion?
good.
Hearing none, all in favor of ratifying the eviction notice procedure, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
This is a dilemma. Because without having any clue as to what it is,
I think you should probably take it quiet and then come out and announce whatever you need to announce.
all right, so I'll entertain a motion, this is a two-parter. Okay, let's get the right language. Where is it here? All right, I'll entertain a motion to find that the municipality would be at a substantial disadvantage if the discussion of attorney-client communications with the delinquent tax collector were to be held in public.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of finding that we put the municipality at a disadvantage, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes. So then, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session under, that would be 1 VSA section 313 A1F.
So moved.
And that's to discuss confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body. So Irv moved it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of going into executive session, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. Okay, as a resolution, the select board will consider its options,
Yeah,
its legal options, by gathering additional information and seeking legal counsel.
So the legal options. Legal options on tax sale property, on legal options? on-
Just
legal
leave it
options.
vague
Yeah.
as legal options.
Okay, we'll consider legal options in consultation with attorneys.
And the delinquent tax collector, both.
Okey-doke, who made the motion?
Nobody made it yet.
Okay,
So
I'll
moved.
read it back if you want. Delinquent. Out of executive session 743, as a result, the select board will consider legal options in consultation with town attorneys and delinquent tax collector.
So you made the motion, Hannah? Will? did you-
Sure.
Okay, second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of pursuing that course, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. So we will be, I'll be spending some more quality time with our attorney. Aren't we so excited? Anyway, moving on to new business, liquor license. We have a liquor license here, application for Lawrence's Smoke Shop and Country Store. And I believe this is a second-class license.
which is retail.
I think it's just beer and wine, isn't it? And it's sell what?
It said it's a glass,
What is it?
yeah. I didn't realize these were all the same thing. Cool. But yes, it is a second class to sell.
And that's Lawrence's, right?
Yep. So I'll entertain a motion to
So
approve.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on that?
That's a renewal.
It is?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, it is a renewal. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in
They're not gonna sell at
favor?
Art's Cart, are they? They're not selling at Art's Cart, are they?
No, that's gonna be food.
Okay, just food.
Alright, all those in favor of approving the liquor license application for Lawrence the Smoke Shop, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes, so. Let me go down. Okay,
It is profitable though, or it can be. Well,
That's
Not
much.
sure, not so,
Not so much
not so
fun.
for Vermont, right, I was gonna say, pretty much.
oh,
Greece.
Yeah.
did you have to put every nasty thing that you could find on this agenda?
Do you wanna see the back page?
No, I don't want to.
Okay. I really culled this one down.
Alright, then let's wade into the recycling.
We don't have to, there's nothing to tell you. I
You
have
said you
sent-
just had new information.
Well, I did, and I sent the 2 quotes in. One of the quoters has called me a couple of times to offer to help explain it, and there are new numbers, XYZ. I've sent them down to, they've going down to Windham Solid Waste. They're gonna take a look at it. I'm gonna try to be there maybe Thursday for a little while, talk about. But anyway, Peter Reese at Triple T has offered to speak with the board at any time, and I was thinking maybe we should consider having a dedicated meeting on the transfer station and recycling. Try to get the, you're using whiteout again? Or is that the same?
Yep, it's bleeding through.
To consider, but anyway, there seem to be more things in the queue. There are more opportunities, lower costs, potentially for.
What are we talking about?
Well, with regard to keeping the transfer station open, there are compostable bags for we're not getting out of anything. I mean, if you keep it open, you're taking food, you're taking bottles and cans and cardboard and paper.
Right.
But relatively new to that is the offer, and I put in for reserving at least 3 roll-off containers, optimally 6, so that we have a clear, clean one to replace it with. There are potentially new hauling fees for those, which haven't come in. There are compostable bags for food that can be distributed, so that people can put food in bags rather than have it raw in a slop bucket and carry it down. Or put it in, you can't put it in a regular blue, green
Right.
plastic bag
Right.
and throw it in the dumpster, because then somebody's gotta take it out of the bag. So anyway, you need to have compostable bags.
And we
That
can't
apparently is-
charge for those.
No,
right?
we can't. That apparently is the way the Brattleboro's going, and other big towns that do this and put it on the curbside.
Because we're comparable with Brattleboro.
Well, yeah, and you know, the dogs can get right into it. I mean, they don't.
The bear?
They say-
Yeah.
They claim them compostable, them bags to put compost in, they're real heavy. They're woven fabric or something.
Right, but they break down in about 30 days or something. There's a
Yeah.
lot of cornstarch or something in them.
Yeah,
Part of the
they're not
leaf.
crazy headed.
Yeah, okay, I haven't seen one.
But the way I understood it, talking to one of the haulers, the last meeting we had,
Yep,
he was saying, that way he could put it on one side of his truck and put his stuff on the other side of the truck, and when it comes out, the bags would be so they can pick the compostable stuff out.
well, and that works, because then you're kind of like single strain, but then you can divide it out pretty easily when you get
Right.
back in-house.
But the truck's not gonna be divided in half, it's just
Right.
wherever they put it.
Right, but with the transfer station situation, we have to have a dumpster that has to be picked up and dumped, and that becomes a different issue. But in any case,
Oh, we could always make them put their.
the more I hear about it, the more I find that other towns are basically in the same position. They don't know what the bottom line is, because nobody will draw a bottom line. It does keep changing every week or every 10 days. There are kind of new offers. None of this is coming, to the best of my knowledge, from the state. There's no easement in the rules, there's no help being offered, there's no, what do I want to say, recognition that little towns are struggling. I have written to our representatives and have not really heard much back on that. We're facing some hard decisions, and they could use some input.
One of them legislative things that they was gonna consider it, but they apparently didn't.
I thought they were gonna reconsider it next year.
They are gonna, well, I mean, when I talked about Spencer, they're keeping the facility down there, even though they're closing down the recycling and letting the people go after a month or whenever they get it closed. But they're keeping all the machinery, they're keeping all the sorting and the balers and all of that.
In the hopes
They're
that
gonna
it comes
hold
back.
Well, in hope or not hope, but
Or in
at least as a
preparation.
contingent, yeah, as a contingency, that something may change in 6 or 8 months or a year. The problem is that once you unscramble the eggs or scramble the eggs, you can never go
Can't
back
put
to
it
the
back
way
in
it
the
was.
shell.
Yeah, you can't put it back. So anyway, I don't have anything new, unfortunately, or anything definitive. The clock is ticking.
So did you actually then send our quotes to regional?
They're going to regional, but
Alright.
I've talked to Kristen about it, I've talked about Spencer about it. And the quotes that we have are block the same as those for other towns. I mean, they've seen them from 3 or 4 other towns apparently already, as they're working through them, or have helped other towns to work through them. So there are ways to compare apples to oranges and make it fit into the pie we've got. But it sounds like in 2 weeks, those have changed. There are new numbers available now. And from Peter,
From the haulers?
from Peter at Triple T said I can cut those costs a little bit. There are different, there are different ways of handling this, different ways of hauling. Because they're looking at cutting their expenses. They don't wanna come up here 3 times during the week and take 3 different products out.
Right.
That's why they go in single stream.
Well, we have Millbrook and we have the West River, we can do single stream.
Yeah. As long as the water keeps flowing, we're good. Anyways,
And so,
That damn release.
yeah, I know. And that fish
a lot of
ladder,
little kayaks, yeah, we just put our little kayaks in the water and send everything up.
the one thing we're going to have to do, this is the second week in May. And we're going to have to, there's gotta be some lead time for the people to know what's going on. So if nothing else, I think what we ought to do is try to schedule a definitive time for us to make a decision one way or another. I mean, even if we may not have all the information, we're gonna have to go with what information we do have.
We're gonna have to come up with some sort of,
There's-
at least tentative plan to go forward.
Well, or stop it altogether.
Right.
You know, I think what we need to do is, set a date by which we will make that decision. That will be the drop dead date as to what's going to happen, one way or another.
June 30th.
May 10th.
Then make-
Okay, let's see if we can
make-
find a
make-
compromise.
Make a motion. Put it on the table and let's make a motion.
Make a motion to have our mind made up by
Okay,
June 30th,
June 30th.
2020.
I mean, there are,
I don't have enough pills.
I'm not gonna be too facetious in making sidebar offers, but there are some,
We don't even know what we're signing up for yet. So
That's it.
You know,
But we still have to have something. We need to be able to say as,
July 1st, something's gonna happen.
well, but we have to know that first.
Yeah.
I would say June 1st. I'd say you really wanna give everybody 30 days, if at all possible, and even then, it's gonna cost you something, because you're gonna wanna put a notice in the paper. And I mean, by that, make up some poster boards and pin them on telephone poles around town, notices. Mass mailing, something. Out with the tax bills, something.
But
That was
also,
a tech-
And then it's too late on that.
also, the way I read that thing that we got, that if you get more, in other words, if people put too many plastic bags and all that stuff, you're gonna pay extra.
Yeah, you're gonna pay.
Well, yeah, there's
Sort
that,
fee,
right,
yeah.
if it's 2% contamination, then, I don't wanna say it doubles, but there's like.
It was an extra, like 140 tipping fee, right?
Right,
Well, you were paying $140 a ton for whatever they had to throw away that wasn't supposed to be in there.
No.
140 a load, not a.
Yeah.
Was it a load?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Which opens up all
you couldn't
new,
read-
opens up a whole host of possibilities for the Sterling that we have. I mean, get rid of the roll-offs, throw it in the back of the Sterling, and we'll drive it away today.
But not only that,
Which is Sterling.
Our Sterling.
whoever's watching the compact is gonna have to watch some of that stuff and tell them either yes or no.
But again, you know, that's a whole new story. We're going to have the discussion about is our current attendant capable of doing that?
I
And
agree.
this
My-
opens up a huge, huge discussion. It's not as
No, I'm
simple.
not, I realize that.
I would recommend a workshop, so that you can talk frankly.
You know,
Because there are a number of things
different.
that need to be discussed. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
gonna, if you're going out of the business, it's as easy as making a motion and going out of the business. And I contact a few people and the state says, what the hell? But if you're staying in the business, there are very many requirements, but there are all kinds of things attached to it that go along with it. Who's gonna operate, what are your hours of operation, how are you gonna manage this, who's gonna be called? I mean, you got a gate now, it's locked. I mean, it's different than it was.
Who's gonna police
Well,
what
and
goes
how,
in
and
where?
how do you pay for it without
Charging
raising taxes or
taxes.
charging?
Yeah,
Right.
which
You
is virtually impossible to do.
Right.
So do we want to make a motion that we will have something definitive to put forth in the way of information for the general public by the 1st of June?
So,
What if they've changed their mind 5 times by then?
Yeah? We're still gonna take a snapshot of that particular day, make a decision. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
So moved.
Well, if you could second, or.
You can second it, right?
Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of setting June 1st as the date by which we will make a decision on the transfer station, signify by saying aye.
Alright,
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. So, that last meeting this month, we're gonna need any and all information as current as possible.
And I may, I'll give everybody a call, see if I can't convince you to have a workshop in between, see if we can line something up. That everybody's available, maybe have some consultants come in and sit and talk to you. Find out what all this.
Nothing like wasting your time talking about
No, but
garbage.
it's hard to read emails, and when you get contradictory
understand.
stuff, I mean, I can forward it, but it doesn't get processed the same way in my interpretations, and we get into debates about it, and I'd rather have somebody sit here and say, this is what it is, here's your bottom line.
Well, does that something work? Did we just have that discussion? I thought so. Anyway, municipal officer appointments, has there been any movement whatsoever?
There's
on-
one movement, potentially,
there is a,
if somebody will nominate, Will has offered to be a Windham Regional Commissioner.
Oh, they didn't scare you, huh? You can have the multiple emails, give them multiple addresses.
I'm getting them.
He went to the exciting Act 174 meeting last year, last over.
funny, I don't know,
Stop it. You're not being.
because I don't have any.
I know you don't. Don't be funny. Well, you and Steve both, you better to miss that piece.
On
And
that.
poor Christine gets yours.
On that appointment sheet, you have 2 Windham Regional Commissioners, positions open. The other one, I don't have a recommendation, is for visiting nurse, and Senior Solutions has been open for a while.
Right.
Other than that, you're pretty well filled in, except for a town report committee, and maybe somebody else for social services, but other than that, you're in pretty good shape. Wyndham Regional is really the big one left.
All right, so, does somebody want
And I
to,
haven't heard from Brad
Horn?
Horn.
So does somebody want to make a motion to dump that in Will's lap? Wyndham Regional in Will's lap?
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Will Bisnett to Wyndham Regional Commission, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions.
Alright.
Motion passes, you lose.
Like, join the club with.
That's right. You gotta go out on those limbs once in a while and have them saw them off on you. And is there any other business?
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You'll get your package in the mail, certainly. All
Multiple
right, now we
times?
can fill in that. You will get a lot of email.
Other business, Craig?
I don't have them.
We've already done, hopefully, all our executive sessions for the night, two's enough. The next meeting is scheduled for May 23rd at 6. If there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion at 8 o'clock to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All right, meeting is adjourned.